Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbalwe in Abuja. Well, as always, so much for us to dissect tonight. And the front burner of the issues relating to the Edo and Ondo governorship elections. Now we know for sure when these political parties will have to hold their primaries. We'll be giving you updates on that. Plus, Plateau State, there seems to be a lot of drama. When the Supreme Court decided on the governorship matter, it then gave some kind of perspectives on how the appeal court judgment went. The appeal court judgment sacked nothing less than 8 or so of the lawmakers who are majority members of the People's Democratic Party, and they are now saying, even on the same issue that the Supreme Court ruled on, appeal court has sacked them based on those matters. They need to revisit them, and they have gone back to the House of Assembly in Jos to say they will resume. What does the law say about all of this? We'll be dissecting all of these issues for you. Plus, the governor has declared a curfew in Mango local government area. What exactly is going on? We thought that things have been resolved or things are really dousing. But for all of what we have heard tonight and today about what is going on in Mango local government, there's a lot that cause for concern. We'll be looking into that. Now, CBN and FAN, under the Ministry of Aviation, said that they will relocate some units, departments in their offices to Lagos. That has generated controversies. What does this mean? There are those who say, look, if you're going to do that, you need to rethink some of these policies. Then we'll be dissecting all of these, plus the security situation in the country. So much on our plate tonight. So please, stay with me, everyone, because we need to serve you all of these within the next 60 minutes. But first, let me serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
The Inspector General of Police, Mr. Blinken, is promising massive deployment of personnel for the conduct of by-elections into vacant seats across 39 federal and state constituencies. Mr. Blinken gave the assurances at the meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security in Abuja.
We are also going to deploy adequately and massively for this election, just like we did in the last off-season election in the 3 states.
Honorable Kunle Oluomo has been impeached as the Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly. 18 of the 26 members of the State Assembly voted for Oluomo's impeachment at plenary session today in Abeokuta. Mr. Oluomo was impeached for alleged embezzlement of funds, high-handedness, and related offences. The Assembly immediately elected a member, Oludaisi Elemide, as the new Speaker. The National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, says his party is committed and willing to support all APC candidates in the by-elections slated for February 3, 2024, across the country to win the elections. Ganduje, who was accompanied by the chairman of the APC Progressives Forum and Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, stated these at a mega rally to canvass support for the candidate of Yobe East senatorial candidate, Musa Mustafa, in Damaturu, the Yobe State capital. And ahead of the February 3, 2024 by-election in Akoko Northeast, Akoko Northwest Federal Constituency in Ondo State, the People's Democratic Party Ondo State chapter is calling on President Bola Tinubu to prevail on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct free, fair, and credible election. In a statement by the State Publicity Secretary, Mr. Kennedy Ikantu Perete, the party says it has observed attempts by some certain elements in government with insatiable appetite for greed and avarice for power through any crooked means to use this election to test the will of the people and wants INEC to conduct a free and fair election. The governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, says the year 2024 will be for a change of gear as his administration is determined to fulfill all its plans. Professor Soludo was speaking at the end of a 2-day cabinet retreat, which is focused on reviewing the administration's midterm performance with a view to intensifying strategic planning and implementation.
This is the year of non-election year, so we are focusing 100% of our time on execution, to provide maximum benefit for our people. That's the job they employed us to do.
A Rivers State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has struck out a suit filed by the Rivers Elders and Leaders Forum challenging the constitutionality of the President Bola Tinubu-initiated peace resolution between the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, and the State House of Assembly. The presiding judge, Justice Chiwendu Nwogu of the Rivers State High Court, struck out the case on the grounds of the State High Court lacking the jurisdiction to hear the matter.
Some of the breaking news that we are following for you right here on Channels Television. We can tell you that the United States Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken, has arrived at the presidential villa here in Abuja for a state visit to where he's going to be meeting President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa in Abuja. The Secretary of State is in Nigeria as part of his tour of the West African sub-region. He has stopped over at Cape Verde and Ivory Coast before arriving in Nigeria, and is expected to leave Nigeria for Angola on hand to receive the U.S. Secretary of State. He's the President himself and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, Minister of Information, Mohammed Yusuf, and other top government officials. Breaking news right here. The United States Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, is in Nigeria and is meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa as of now. Especially that more is perhaps going to be known in the coming days, but the little we know is what is coming from the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who has disclosed the schedule of the processes leading to the election in Edo and Ondo State. It's today, after their meeting, disclosed that the primaries will hold at certain days. Take a listen to the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu.
As required by the Electoral Act, party primaries and nomination of candidates shall be done not later than 180 days before the date fixed for the election. Accordingly, party primaries for the Edo State governorship election will commence next week and end 3 weeks later, that is from the 1st to the 24th of February 2024. For Ondo State, primaries will be held between the 6th and 27th of April.
All right, then, let's get talking. We understand now that the government of Plateau State has declared curfew in Mangu local government area of Plateau State because of the escalating violence in the area. And the government has said the decision to declare a sit-at-home to residents of the local government is due to the deteriorating situation in the state. Some of the issues that have come up in relation to that, more we are hearing from the Nigerian police. I understand that the police are already speaking about this, and they said they are on top of the situation as far as Mangu local government area is concerned. But of course, drama today in the House of Assembly in Jos in Plateau State, where some sacked PDP lawmakers stormed the House of Assembly in Jos, saying that they will have to resume based on the outcome of or the judgment of the Supreme Court, which it said indicated that the appeal court ruling which sacked them is faulty. Take a listen to some of the lawmakers speaking in this respect.
There is court process that they have surfaced in regard to that 16 vacancies. As I'm talking to you, there are 32 members claiming 16 vacancies in the assembly. And as I said, we as lawmakers, we are not law interpreters. So we allow the institution, that is the judiciary, to do the needful by interpreting the law. And at the right time, we know who are the rightful occupant of the 16 constituencies, and we'll do the rightful thing at the right time as an assembly. But for now, myself and the honorable colleagues, the duly members of the assembly, were 8 for now until determination of the court.
We are members of the Plateau State House of Assembly by virtue of our membership, which has satisfied the constitutional requirement. What we are waiting for right now is just the official recognition by inauguration.
Let's get some feel on what is going on. One of the lawmakers affected by the appeal court judgment is joining me tonight on the program. Honorable Dachong Baggers is live for us virtually. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Shaun. Good evening, Nigerians.
Thank you so much, Honorable. I think it's good for us to begin the conversation around the curfew that has been imposed by the governor on Mangu local government. One, we wonder why Mangu again. We thought that things are really dousing up until today that we're hearing, and the police authorities are saying that, look, that had to happen because of the deteriorating situation in that area. How bad is the state of things in Mangu?
Yeah, well, it's quite unfortunate that Mangu have to come into the scene at this very particular moment that we're enjoying peace, that the governor is celebrating and thanking God for the victory of the Supreme Court, and all Plateau people celebrating and jubilating. And it's quite unfortunate. If you remember, when the governor was declared winner, the same thing happened in Mangu a day or two. And the same thing again since then. Nothing has happened in Mangu. Now that the governor has been declared by the Supreme Court and had his Thanksgiving on Sunday, today we woke up to another attack in Mangu. And because of the proactiveness of the governor, he has declared 24 hours curfew in Mangu to be able to curtail loss of lives and damage to properties, which we commend him for that. If not, it could have escalated beyond issues that would be redeemable. So for him to have done that, for us to be able to really ascertain and know what the actual cost. But the curfew has really put Mangu under control. And within the next few hours, we'll be able to know the real cost, likely any possible damage if there is. But the immediate proactiveness of the governor to put in curfew has really brought the situation under control. But again, the question that all of us are asking is that why Mangu? The first time Mangu is a local government of the governor. When he was declared winner, attack within 48 hours was emanated on Mangu. Now that he is declared winner by the Supreme Court again, after 48 hours, another attack in Mangu. So because this is what we really want the security agencies to look into, why the local government of the governor at this particular moment again.
What is the attack? Can you describe to us the nature of the attack? How many people are involved? What was the situation? What does it look like?
Because of the proactiveness of the governor and with the curfew, I'm not sure any life has been lost, or we cannot really ascertain the quantum of damage as it is as of now, till when we hear the official statement by the spokesperson of the governor. But for now, the situation is quite under control. Because if lives were lost, we could have known by now. But then the immediate proactiveness of the governor to take charge of the security situation in Mangu has helped matters. So we appreciate the governor for doing that immediately.
In this sense, because you are one of those who believe that the attacks in part of Plateau State have a direct link, or the theory that you believe is that some of these attacks on the plateau are linked to the natural resources under the ground and those who are exploiting it, who wants to wipe out the citizens of the state and take over their lands. Do you see all this kind of view in respect of what happened today?
It's not just a theory or my own personal view, Sheung. Our research have shown, we have our research documents on all the areas that have been attacked on the plateau so far are areas that have the high density of mineral resources, and not just mineral resources, high density of agricultural produce, and they are areas that you know that they are predominantly farmers. The vegetation it has a high yield in farm crops. So this research, this is the research that is already there in the public domain, and I've shared some documents with you to students. Mangu, Bokos, Jos South, Barkiladi, Riom, Wasi. These are areas that have high level of mineral resources. And again, when you look at these mineral resources, steam and all those mineral resources that you use to produce be it phones, drones, even guns, all those mineral resources that are in high demand in the West because of the usage of technology. These are the kind of mineral resources that you find on the plateau on a high quantum. And I've called on government not once, not twice, that look, the way you are putting and giving attention in the South because of crude oil, start giving the same attention on the plateau and the areas of North Central Middle Belt in terms of mineral resources that are here, because it is on high demand in the West, just like crude oil it is. By the way, crude oil demand is now going down. So these are issues that government really needs to look at, the issues of mineral resources up here in the North to be able to address the issue of insecurity.
This theory, or this perspective that you hold, is the governor aware? And are these issues being escalated? Does the people in these local government areas, for example, are they aware of it? And what are they doing?
Absolutely. Most of them, all these areas that people have been killed and sacked, most of them predominantly are farmers, are miners. And if you look at one of the videos that was popular, that trended from Bokos, you will even see on dead bodies where people were killed. You will see you will see tin on the floor, just like sand. So these are issues that government know. The governor has been talking about it. In as much as we know these issues, we have little or more to do if federal government did not come to really look into the issues of insecurity on the plateau. Because if the federal government owns the mineral resources, the state government owns the land. So we need a relationship, a bilateral relationship between the state and federal government to be able to see how to be able to address the issue of insecurity as a result of mining activities, as a result of the vegetation that we have in terms of farm root crops and farming produce that comes from the plateau. This is a very serious issue, because when you now look at Shehun again, go back, and I still want the security agencies to confirm this, that most of the out of the 60 villages that have been captured on the plateau because of our land that have grabbed for their mining activities, our people are being killed, chased out of these communities, and they can't go back to those communities. Go back to those communities in 3 weeks, 1 month. You will see that people are mining in those communities that are not our people. So basically,
I mean, are you thinking, because so apologies, are you thinking, because those who say this is a deliberate wiping out, is it for a cultural purpose or for commercial purpose? And these people that you say have taken it over, are they indigenous? Or are they citizens, or they are aliens?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They are not indigenous. So it would say it's for cultural purpose, because it's the ethnic people that are sitting there that have been killed. So this is purely for commercial purpose, for economic reasons. So the killings on the plateau is not as issue of farmers-headers clash, which the narratives have been changed since since our dear governor has come into power. That the issue of killings on the plateau is mere genocide, land grabbing for the purpose of the mining activities, for the purpose of vegetation. The vegetation in those areas. Those are the major reasons. So these are issues that once federal government have branded these people as terrorists, they should be able to come into those communities, wipe these people out, and bring our people back into the communities. Over 60 of these villages, none of the villagers, none of the indigenous, none of the ethnic groups are staying in those villages. I always give example where Senator Danton died in 2012. Nobody could go back to that same village again. They are being occupied by people we don't know. And heavy mining activities are ongoing in those areas.
Let me take you to the politics, which caused some drama today. Some of your colleagues, your friends, in the House of Assembly who were sacked like yourself, had gone to the House of Assembly and saying that they will have to resume. This is causing some tension. I mean, what is the reason behind that kind of action, knowing full well that the court has ruled, and appeal court being the highest court in that respect, can only be reviewed if it has to sit in the same matter in the future?
Yeah, Shaun, in terms of illegality, nothing can stand on anything. What the House of Assembly members that have made to known is that the Court of Appeal legislators that were giving judgment against us on the same issue that the governor was vindicated upon have not been sworn in. So if they have not been sworn in, and here we have a judgment by the Supreme Court vindicating us that we are well structured on the plateau, clearly showing that, look, the issues that us from the National Assembly were illegally removed, the House 16 House of Assembly members that were removed, clearly we were vindicated by the Supreme Court that those acts were illegal. So now that they have not been sworn in, the House of Assembly members have said, look, we were removed illegally, and the people that we were being removed for have not been sworn in. So they are now fighting for their own right. I wish we could fight for our own right as well if the people that replaced us were not or are not being sworn in. So this is again an issue that the court will still need to explain further in terms of judicial precedent, in terms of understanding that, look, this was an issue that an illegality was done and the wrong judgment was given by the appeal court. And it's not us that even said. The Supreme Court clearly said that the issue that the House of Assembly members and the National Assembly members, of the 26 of us that were removed by the Court of Appeal, couldn't have even taken place. That the Court of Appeal lacked jurisdiction to have entertained that issue. So now this is an era that we are now looking at the judiciary again. That this is where the issue of doctrine of necessity needs to come into play. That, look, if this was wrongly done and the Court of Appeal lacked jurisdiction to have even entertained the matter that had removed us, so the doctrine of necessity for the Supreme Court to right the wrong that the Court of Appeal had carried out, even from the election tribunal matter, because the Supreme Court rightly said that the election tribunal matter couldn't have even entertained this matter because it lacks jurisdiction. It wasn't an election matter entirely. So the court needs to clearly come out to right the wrong.
Okay, so let me ask you, so Honorable, because this is a legal matter, and so and the courts have their own procedure. For a lot of our viewers, it is in our laws and established that any case that has to do with elections into the National Assembly, both Senate and the House of Reps, or that of the House of Assembly, we terminate at the appeal court, unlike the cases in the presidential and governorship election, which terminates in the Supreme Court. So in the case of Plateau State, the House of Assembly members and the National Assembly members who were sacked, the case terminated at the appeal court, and it cannot go beyond that. And that is the last bus stop. Now, legally speaking, if you say the court should right the wrong, where do you think the righting or the correction or the review of that wrong would come from? Which court?
Clearly, in writing the wrong, there are judicial precedents already on these issues. Already, Supreme Court has already said that, look, the Court of Appeal had no jurisdiction. And we have instances that the Supreme Court was and has been able to right the wrong in terms of jurisdiction on these same issues of court of election matters that has happened in the past in terms of Ocha, in terms of Dangana, where it ended in the Court of Appeal, but the same Supreme Court went further that on the case of Ocha, the appeal court lacks jurisdiction to have even entertained the matter in the same place. So we're now going to look at the doctrine of necessity in this way, to be able to right the wrong, to be able to understand that, look, to right the wrong in judicial matters, there is no time bound on that. In as much as electoral issues is status bar, but to right a wrong in illegality, it is not status bar. By this way, in the first instance, that the court lacks jurisdiction. So in that judicial precedent, that is what we are now looking at. By looking at, look, the Supreme Court, you have made this matter known and you have clearly stated out that, look, these issues are wrong. Can you now bring back the integrity of the entirety of the judiciary? Because now that we have this issue, in terms of integrity is there, in terms of morality is there, in terms of trying to know that, look, the future of our elections is there. So putting the records straight, it's very important, because if we continue in this matter, which means in 2027, the Court of Appeal can still do the same thing and it will get away with it. So it is not what we should just look at, that because it is status bar, we should be able to look at what kind of doctrine of necessity we should be able to bring into to strengthen the judiciary, to strengthen the electoral process, to strengthen especially the morality of our dear nation in the face of nations, in terms of doing the right thing when it needs to be done.
So, so the question I asked that question is the fact that case, the lawmakers were not parties to the Supreme Court ruling which favored Governor Mutuwang, which is part of the fact in which the appeal court ruled on, which saw the sacking of the federal lawmakers. So are you thinking, in the minds of those who are agitated by this, that maybe the Supreme Court can entertain that matter and review what the appeal court has done? Is that what you're thinking?
Absolutely, because now we are now, because what we are now looking at, like I said, and I'm still talking about the doctrine of necessity here, is that, look, the Supreme Court has already clearly explained these issues, have already clearly made judgment on this issue. So we are not talking about a different matter, and we are talking on the same particular issue.
But Honorable, you are aware that the Supreme Court cannot entertain such a matter. It doesn't have jurisdiction to entertain it. Are you aware?
Now, we are aware, but we are now saying that, look, where can we right the wrong? And that's why the State House of Assembly members went to the High Court to seek for further interpretation of these laws, to seek for further, how can these issues be reviewed? Something must start somewhere, Sheun.
For the sake of our viewers, Honorable, if you remember what happened, I think it was 2020, where the Supreme Court, very senior lawyers were slammed with some kind of award of cost for bringing that case for the Supreme Court to revisit and review its own case. And the Supreme Court has said, look, if you were to review this matter, and if a judgment has been determined as per inquiry, that the Supreme Court has, have found fault in its own judgment, and the Supreme Court has the right and the power and the jurisdiction to be able to correct its own errors, it says that it will have to do it in a future case, not in the case that it has delivered in the past. So in the case of Court of Appeal or whatever has happened, there are those who of the opinion or the school of thought that some of you and your colleagues will have to wait for the next 4 years for you to have an opportunity to get back into the assembly, whether a state or a national assembly. In this matter, it is dead as dodo, as Michael Zekome will say it.
Well, it's not going to the Supreme Court to review its issue. Our cases were from the appeal court. We are now going to the Supreme Court to be able to look at what the appeal court has been able to do. And that's why the judicial president is going further to a higher court than where above what has happened on the appeal court. So it is not the Supreme Court trying to review its own case, but the Supreme Court to be able to review the issue.
But I'm saying, Honorable, that Supreme Court reviewing the appeal court judgment, in the case of a National Assembly and State House of Assembly matter, it does not have jurisdiction. It may not be able to ever entertain it. That's the point I'm making.
So if it cannot,
that case,
it cannot,
by the procedure of the court and the hierarchy of our courts in Nigeria, that case may never be able to get to the Supreme Court, even for entertainment whatsoever.
It cannot review the issue of the the appeal court if the appeal court had jurisdiction to entertain that very matter. So absolutely, the Supreme Court shouldn't and cannot be able. So here, this is an issue that the Supreme Court has clearly said that the Court of Appeals has no jurisdiction. So if the Supreme Court has clearly stated that the Court of Appeal has no jurisdiction, they should be able to affirm, just like they did in the case of Ocha and Dangana, that look, on the cases of Plateau State, you have no jurisdiction. So release this very soon. So that's what we are seeking for from the Supreme Court.
Just hold on for a moment, Honorable. Yeah. We would like to also, of course, remind our viewers of what is happening at the presidential villa that we can tell you President Bola Tinubu has welcomed the United States Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken, who is in Nigeria for a official visit. In that visit, the U.S. Secretary of the State will be having conversations with Nigeria's president. And of course, in that meeting also, we know that on hand was the president who received him at the presidential villa in Abuja, and as well as the Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Information who had received him. We understand that Mr. Blinken had earlier gone to Cote d'Ivoire and Cape Verde, and he will be leaving Nigeria for Angola. The United States Secretary there, the President, the Minister actually receiving him and directing him into the entrance of the presidential villa. Of course, several officials receive the United States Secretary of State. We'll be bringing you live pictures as soon as the engagement begins. The United States Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, at the presidential villa. We take a break, everyone. But when we come back, a lot more to talk about tonight on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. I've been speaking with Honorable Dachong Bagos. We were talking about the situation in Plateau and, of course, the security situation, the curfew on Mango, and the political drama playing out based on the Supreme Court judgment, an appeal court judgment which had earlier sacked the lawmakers. Thank you so much, Honorable Bagos, for your time tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. And we pray that the Supreme Court will look at starting decisive in terms of jurisdictional precedent. So, and we very believe that they will make Nigeria proud.
Thank you so much. Let's then have some further conversation. Don't forget, we have our eyes on the visit of the United States Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, who is meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa. I'm being joined from our Maiduguri studio by Senator Ali Ndume, a member of the National Assembly. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sharon. How are you?
I'm okay. Give us an understanding. There is a rise in kidnapping. You chair the Committee on the Army, and we've seen this kind of situation, and the borders one, that why are these kind of violent activities happening? We are being told that there is an influx of some of these bandits from some part of the northern region into the FCT, and giving a feeling that the FCT is perhaps is not as safe as it should be.
Well, the truth of the matter is that we still have security challenges in terms of the personnel that are supposed to manage the security sector. Once you have enough boots on ground and security intelligence and everything, it doesn't matter where they come from, the security agencies or whichever will stand up to them. The problem is that our security agencies are not fully capacitated. They are not equipped. They are not trained. They are not motivated that much that they will face these security challenges. The earlier we realize this, that the main purpose of government, I have said it several times, I'll continue to say it, is security and welfare of its citizens. The government should concentrate on that and get the country secured so that everybody can sleep with his two eyes closed.
But where do you think this connect went wrong, or the disconnect suddenly from November or October last year up until now? The insecurity situation is now very deteriorating.
It's not sudden. The security challenges we have been facing dates back to as early as 1999 or so, when the Boko Haram started from the northeast, and it keeps on transforming. Then the bandits outside join the forces, and it's getting out of hand, really. And the solution to it, as I said, is get enough security agencies that will face these people squarely. Right now, we don't have enough security agencies or personnel to handle the situation, whether it's Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian police. In fact, some of these issues are supposed to be handled by police. Security, as you are talking about going after bandits or, Boko Haram and all those unknown gunmen, is supposed to be the work of the police. And we don't have the number of police. They are not trained, they are not equipped, they are not well motivated. How can they do the job? And what is budgeted?
Senator, under your committee, you did oversight on the army in purchase of some sophisticated weapons. So it took a long time. The lay law barred us from being able to have access to some of this, but we looked in other direction under the Buhari government to be able to acquire some of these equipment. We thought that some of these surveillance and some of these fighting gadgets and flying elements will help us to be able to arrest these elements that are terrorizing our country. And we thought that this will work. Why has this not happened?
They are not enough. Well, it's just like a drop of water in the sea. They are not. This place is not as versatile as the attack helicopters. So they are not even enough. Their number is not enough. The training is not. The major challenge is in the area of team, as I said, TEAM, training, equipment, ammunition, and motivation. We don't have the number. We only have 200,000 Nigerian armed forces. We only have, I think, less than 400,000 police. We have all put together, the Nigerian security agencies put together, we don't have up to 1 million of them. We have over with vast, area to cover. You can't do that if you don't have enough number to face and then to man the situation. There must be deliberate training, equipping, arming and then motivating. And the most challenging thing, for example, is that all the security agencies, I did a small research, their first entrance, like the recruits, are paid less than 50,000 in some cases. How can you pay somebody money that cannot buy him a bag of rice and you expect him to go and sacrifice and put in his best. How can you pay a Nigerian army, for example, allowance of 1,200 as his daily ration money, and then pay him 2,000 naira only as DTA, and put him in the theater? Some from Lagos, Oyo, Ondo moved to Maiduguri. Their parents are expecting that they will send them something monthly, and you pay the guy 50,000 naira or less. These are the major challenges that the government must rise up to.
Senator, in all of this, let me ask you pointedly, from your understanding of things, it doesn't look like anything has changed since President Bola Tinubu got into office. The securities chiefs were saddled with that responsibility to change things around, but little or less have we seen from what has happened in the past. And this is not taking any credit away from our gallant officers on the ground who are every day confronted by the bullets of these terrorists. But the question is, if there is anything that the president must do now, what should that be? Urgently.
What president must do, number one, is to review the salaries of the Nigerian Armed Forces. That is number one, because it was last reviewed in 2008. We are in 2023. We should review the salary of all the security agencies. We should increase the number of security agencies, especially police and the Nigerian army. We should equip them adequately. And then we should motivate them by, for example, a civil servant sitting in office moves around a day. His DTA is about 30,000 or more. And then you send somebody to the bush, and then you pay him 2,000 as his DTA. That can't work. That is the truth of it. And the purpose of government is security and welfare. We have to be serious about the security situation in this country.
Let me bring this matter, Senator, to your table. There are those of the view that you and your colleagues are perhaps not playing your fundamental duties and role as lawmakers in oversight. For example, in monitoring the timelines of operation, you are the former chair of the army. For example, did you know the timeline or the time frame of some of the operations of the troops on the field? Are you able to monitor them? If they are not achieving the set target, are you able to do your oversight properly on them? There are those who will say, you are the representatives of the people. If there is a failing of the security agencies, have you put them up to task? These are some of the questions that some Nigerians would like to ask you tonight.
Can you put somebody that is not adequately equipped, paid, and motivated to do the job? I mean, our own oversight would have been if they have everything they need in order to face the security challenges and in order for them to effectively do their job, then we talk about oversight. So how can you talk about oversight when you gave the Nigerian Army, for example, in this year's budget is 700, maybe 700 and something billion. And you are talking about oversighting. Oversighting what? Give them the money, give them what they need, then you can even give them a matching order. And what the president did recently, for example, is that he will not tolerate failure. You can only say that when you give them what they need in order to execute or to achieve their goals or the assignment you give them. But I am telling you, I'm not being pessimistic, but with what the Nigerian Army or other security agencies are being paid or what they have, I don't expect them to perform any magic. They must have the equipment, they must have the training, they must have the adequate motivation for them to lay down their life. They have already been doing that. We have been losing many of them, and you can imagine people coming in ragtags, called bandits or Boko Haram or whatever, killing our youths that are determined to defend the country.
But Senator, apologies to cut in quickly. There are areas that the government or those in political office have failed Nigerians terribly in terms of trust. For example, there is a point in this country where the government told Nigerians there are terror financiers, and they know them. They have their names. We saw a retired general who was supposed to get the late chief of army staff, who is pointing out to say there are highly placed persons who are behind the terrorism in this country. And yet, they are not uncovered, yet Nigerians do not know them, yet they keep perpetrating the evil. You saw what the Honorable said earlier about what is going on in Plateau, a deliberate attempt, according to him, in wiping out some people because of commercial purpose. If government knows those who are funding terror, why are Nigerians not knowing? What is difficult to let the Nigerian people know those who are killing are behind the killings of innocent Nigerians?
Well, the question you're asking is the same as the question I would ask. If they are actually identified terror financiers and those behind these things, I don't know why the Nigerian government or whoever is responsible for that, it is not, if Ndume knows that social persons are behind this, you can be rest assured that I'll come to channel and name them if I have the information. So the government is supposed to be doing that. But don't go away from the main problem now. The main problem is that bandits are everywhere, terrorizing people, killing people. The Nigerian army is even being killed, and they are being overwhelmed, operating in 35 states with no guns. Up to now, I have not gone to the field and see a Nigerian soldier holding a new AK-47, just common AK-47. But you can see the bandits branding out new AK-49, not even 47. So,
but the budget, things looks a bit different now. The budget of 2024, security is getting about 12% of the 2024 budget. But again, if you and your colleagues, 109 of you in the Senate, 360 in the House of Representatives, speaking for the Nigerian people, if in truth you are doing that, and they're asking tonight that if we know those who are funding terror, those who are funding the killing of innocent Nigerians, is it not a failing of a government who said he's serving his own people, that these people have not been named? Who is keeping them? It's a deliberate attempt to make sure that we spend a lot of money in funding security or insecurity, as the case may be. People are dying every day. People are being kidnapped every day. Nigerians are impoverished. The people that are leading them, they don't look like they care so much about it. What is the government or political office holder doing differently? These are very fundamental questions.
Well, you're asking the wrong person. If I know the list of the people funding the terrorists, maybe those people that even said so are in Abuja there. Why don't you go and ask them? I'm Dume here in Maiduguri right now. If I had known that social person is
but some of the service chiefs, they come into the chamber. They come into the chamber. The president declared some kind of state of emergency of food security. Can't we declare a state of emergency on security in Nigeria? A governor declared curfew on one of the local government. Fundamentally, we have a major crisis on our hands, and we are behaving as if there is nothing going on. People are being kidnapped in the FCT, and we are behaving in this nation as if nothing is going on.
I am with you on that, but you are talking to the wrong person in this case. I was thinking that you just want my opinion on some of this issue, especially that has to do with security and the performance of the Nigerian Armed Forces and other security agencies. And I'm telling you that they are not performing. They are doing their best, but their best cannot go anywhere if they don't have the equipment, the training, and the motivation. So the government should be serious. And when you are talking about giving them 12%, what is 12% when the other 88% of it cannot be useful? You construct roads and people cannot go because kidnappers would pick them up on the road. Why don't you secure the place first? I'm one of those that support, even if we are to give 50% of the budget to the for security, and let us be secured first. Let us be secured first, because that is the main purpose of government. Even if the National Assembly that you are talking about is to be shut down in order to secure the country, and let's go back home until the country is secured, I am supporting that.
Senator, let me take you away quickly from issue of security, but we are hearing some reactions coming from the upper part of the country in respect of the decision of the CBN to relocate some units and departments into Lagos under the Aviation Ministry. The FAN also is also thinking of doing the same thing. But it does look like some northern elites are not happy with it. Is there consensus about this notion?
Yes, it's not only about northern colleagues. You know, this is a consensus because we only have one federal capital, and that is Abuja. All these Lagos boys that are thinking that Lagos is Nigeria are just misinforming or advising the president wrongly. The regulators of the financial institutions are supposed to be or are in Abuja. Do you want them to move back to where, because you say Lagos is the commercial capital? This is one of the mistakes, and I'm sure Mr. President will reverse it because it doesn't work. You can't have two capitals. Is the CBN governor going to be operating from Lagos and the headquarters of the CBN is in Lagos? Or do you now say that because majority of our oil is extracted from South-South, you take NNPC to South-South? Or is it because Nigeria's agricultural district is more in the north, you take Ministry of Agric to anywhere in the north? It doesn't work that way. And that is one of the problems that is cropping up. But I'm very sure, I'm very confident that Mr. President will look at this because he's a nationalist, not just a Lagos man. Some of these people think that, I'll repeat, some of them think that Lagos is Nigeria. Lagos is not Nigeria. Lagos is not the headquarters of Nigeria. The headquarters of Nigeria is in Abuja. It's not about North.
But they have
because
explained that
Abuja
this is
no
for
man's land. It's not a
operational
Fulani.
purposes. This is for operational purposes.
Which is operational purpose? Why was the headquarters moved from Lagos to Abuja? Is it not because of the congestion they are talking about?
It's not the whole of the CBN that is going to be moved, Senator. I'm just asking. The whole of the CBN is not, according to the CBN, it's just a unit or some units or department are going to be relocated to their Lagos office. They do have a Lagos office.
No. That doesn't work. If you have to do that, if you are talking about proximity and space, why don't you take them to Nasarawa there, or take them to Kogi, or take them to Kaduna, just nearby, so that you decongest the place? And I even don't see any issue of congestion. There is just going to be increase in cost because they will be running from Lagos to Abuja every time. Spending more money, you end up spending more money, or exposing even the workers to unnecessary risk. This is a decision that is not well thought out, and I think the president will reverse it. I'm confident of that. And if that does not happen, of course, this is democracy. We'll know what to do.
And what would that be?
That is when the president refuses to do that.
What would be the reaction?
The reaction, of course, is that right now the reaction is we don't try to bring the issue of tribalism into it. I'm not a Hausa man and I'm not a Fulani man, but I'm a Northerner and I'm a Nigerian first. And we say that since the headquarters of Nigeria was removed from Lagos because of congestion and because of inefficiency to Abuja, where it's most central and more of no man's land, because the Gwaris and the Bagis are the Gondora people are the only place. We have enough space there. CBN has offices that they can rent or build from their own to increase efficiency. But moving some departments to Lagos is not the best of ideas at all, or moving any agency on that matter.
Do you think that this has some political undertone, or it adds some other ulterior motive? Do you think?
No, I don't want to believe that because I know the president that much. It's just that those political cartels that I told you that are in the corridors of power are trying to misinform the president. And we'll tell the president. The president will take action. He's someone that listens and corrects anything. I'm sure he will do that. Because there's not any efficiency in it. They don't think, some of them think that they know better than everybody. They don't know anything. When you don't know Nigeria, you only know Lagos. Then you start doing things as if Nigeria is Lagos. No, Lagos is in Nigeria.
Senator Aline Dume.
That's a wrong decision.
Thank you so much indeed.
We will not accept it.
Yeah. Always a pleasure as always having you.
And besides, they are not doing any favor to Mr. President because this will have political consequences.
Really?
Yes. I'm telling you this.
All right. We'll see how that goes. Thank you so much.
And these guys who are just sitting down there trying to hang on to Mr. President will not be there to amend the political mistakes or even to correct it, because they don't know anybody. They only know their offices, and they only know that they have brains. They think some of us that it's politics. Was it not politics that brought them into that office in the first place? If Tinubu had not won the election as the president, would the central bank governor be central bank governor?
Senator Aline Dume,
thank you so much. To that office.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Who brought Mr. President to that office?
Yeah.
Was it vote from Lagos?
Yeah, we're out of time tonight. Thank you so much, Senator Aline Dume.
Okay.
I appreciate your time tonight.
Right.
A pleasure having you as always. Well, let's remind you that the president has met with Mr. Anthony Blinken, who is a U.S. Secretary of State. And we, of course, know that from Nigeria, Mr. Blinken will head to Angola. This meeting is an official meeting from the U.S. Secretary of State. And that's how we close the program tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.